Year 1065 AH. The final days of the Second Bug War. The coalition is collapsing. Goldka, Chief of Chiefs, orders a full retreat. But it's already too late. From all directions, grave ants surge forward, climbing over their own dead, tearing through the front lines. In just 4 hours, 100,000 soldiers will fall. 3 months earlier, at the outskirts of Suladar, capital of the People's Consensus, 400,000 coalition soldiers gather for a final campaign. The war has dragged on for 4 years. Entire regions have fallen. Refugees flood the western lands. The economy is collapsing. Goldka has won battle after battle, but not the war, and time is running out. Inside the war tent, coalition leaders argue over strategy. A direct assault on the mega hive would mean marching through an ocean of grave ants. Casualties would be catastrophic. Splitting the army would weaken their force. Diversions would not be enough. Every option leads to the same conclusion. They would never reach the hive. Then, Goldka speaks. Instead of fighting through the swarm, they would bypass it.
The plan is simple, but dangerous. The coalition would march through the ancient underroads, moving beneath the swarm, and emerge directly at the doorstep of the mega hive. If discovered underground, the entire army could be trapped, buried, wiped out. But doing nothing guarantees failure. The leaders hesitate. Then, reluctantly, they agree. To buy time, Goldka orders a scorched earth diversion. A nearby forest is set ablaze. The fire spreads rapidly, drawing grave ants away from the hive. Every moment matters. The army enters through the tunnels beneath Fort Maundy. Moving 400,000 soldiers underground is not a march. It is a logistical strain. Supply lines must hold. Scouts must clear the path ahead. And above all, they must remain undetected. For 3 months, the coalition advances in silence. Then, they emerge. The Makar Mega Forest. And beyond it, the Mega Hive. So vast, it blocks out the sun. Goldka knows they will be discovered. There is no time to hesitate. The coalition builds a layered defensive line designed not to hold, but to kill. First line, spike barriers. The purpose is to slow the initial charge. Flanks are the oil trenches dug deep and set to ignite, forcing the swarm inward. Second line are deep trenches to trap advancing ants. Soldiers rain boats and incendiaries from above. Final line, fortified walls, heavy spinecaster fire in overlapping fields. Large mammals form spear walls, pushing back anything that climbs. Behind them, artillery and reserves. Everything is prepared. Now, they wait. Goldka gives the order. Artillery fires on the mega hive. The ground trembles. Moments later, the hive responds. The swarm pours out. Thousands, then tens of thousands. The forest begins to move. The artillery strikes first, incinerating the front of the swarm. But it does not stop them. The ants climb over their dead. The fire trenches ignite, forcing the swarm into the center, exactly as planned. The first wave hits the spike barriers, slowed, exposed, cut down by heavy fire. The system works. On the flanks, Aaron Blackmane, Goldka most trusted officers, and the chief of the Blackmane clan, leads the shock troops. Their objective? Circle the swarm,
and strike from the rear. But the ants are already waiting. A hidden force, led by larger warrior variants, ambushes them. The maneuver collapses instantly. Aaron retreats with only a fraction of his force. The rest are lost.
Then, something changes. The swarm begins to pull back. The soldiers cheer. They think the line has held. They think the battle is won. Goldka does not move. Insectoids do not retreat. Not like this.
It was never a retreat. It was a setup. The hidden swarm strikes the rear of the coalition. The defensive line, never built to face two directions, collapses almost instantly. At the same time, the retreating ants turn and charge the pursuing soldiers. The coalition is caught in a pincer, front and rear. There is no formation left, only chaos.
Goldka orders a full retreat. But command is already breaking down. Units scatter, signals are lost. The defensive lines overrun. Goldka pulls what remains of his reserves into a final holding force, buying time for survivors to escape. They hold, briefly. Then they are overwhelmed. The Battle of Hive Valley ends in just 4 hours. Nearly 100,000 coalition soldiers are dead. It is their first major defeat of the war, not because they lacked strength, but because they misunderstood their enemy. The grave ants were no longer fighting on instinct. They were thinking.
Subscribe for more content. See you on the next video.